Welcome to the Business with Heart podcast. Conversations, lessons, and stories around building your business, life, and everything in between. Tears, laughs, inspiration, motivation, and sometimes the tough love and kick in the ass you need. My name is Natalie DiVincenzi, business mentor for kind-hearted, ambitious female entrepreneurs who crave confidence, making an impact, and authentically growing their business. Hi, my loves, and welcome to this episode, Your Secret Sales BFF. You're probably here wondering ooh, what's this juicy secret? Well, the secret is this. That's it. That's the secret. It's silence. Now, how in the heck is silence your sales BFF? Because when you think of sales, you're probably thinking about two people talking or maybe just one harping, depending on the sort of sales conversations that you've been a part of. So where does silence come into play? It's about allowing people the time and the space to process, to let them do what they need to do. That's where silence really comes into play. It's after the conversations have been had. Because people need to process. They need to come to the realization themselves. Your job is to show them the path, and it's their job to step onto it. So a lot of times when we have some sales conversations, people say, I need to think about it. Let them think about it. Let them process. Let them internalize. You have shown them the path, and now it's their job to step onto it. Sometimes people just really do need to experience things their way first. Your way will always linger in the back of their mind as the what if. What if I had gone with that person? What if I had decided to say yes on that day? What if? But they also think, what if I did try it myself? What if I did go on my own? Your job is to show them why they shouldn't go alone, but then if they choose to walk the path of aloneness, let them. Because they need to, and then one day they'll come back once they've realized and processed that they did need you. Or maybe they didn't. But ultimately, business is about doing what's best for the person, not for ourselves. So for a majority of people, I'd say 99% of people who have an inner voice, this sort of internal dialogue aspect is going to be what makes them buy or not buy. And your job in sales, your content, your marketing, your messaging, is to say something that makes them question their current reality. And by doing that, you naturally will insert yourself into their internal dialogue, into those what ifs. Because you see, what most people don't understand is that it is our brain's literal job to find an answer to any question. It's like ChatGPT. You prompt it with a question and it spits out an answer. And so if we're getting you to a question and to question, then we're getting you to get new answers. Your processing might not be as fast as ChatGPT, but if you keep asking the same question, your answers will become more and more optimized. So if you tell your prospect, hey, look, these are the things that aren't working, whether they agree or disagree, it's going to make them question, right? They're going to be asking, is that actually what's not working? Is she right? Maybe she is. Then they go into the world after and they find what we call proof. Your prospect is presented with the exact thing or issue or problem that you try to prevent them from. And once they have that proof, once they get that one thing that proves that you were right, it now becomes a fact. And that gets stored in the file cabinet as an answer to that question. And anything similar, which then becomes reference for any future similar situations. And it's once they get enough references, and sometimes it doesn't have to be many. Sometimes it can literally just be like one reference that pushes them over the edge and shows them, oh wow, she was right. Then there's more support that you are the solution. But sometimes they don't get enough proof or facts from the conversation with you. Your job is to definitely give them that in your conversation, but sometimes they need to experience it first. They need to find the proof themselves. So if you can get the prospect to say yes in the moment, that's great. But internal processing and reflection is incredibly important, incredibly underrated as well, and it's absolutely critical. I want you to think of yourself as a friend. Have you ever gotten in an argument or disagreement with a friend? Then later you go back and you replay all the things they said, you should have said, you really think about it some more, you process, and you go back and replay all the things. And maybe you realize there were some things that you could have said or done better. Sometimes this takes minutes, sometimes this takes months, and sometimes it takes years. Okay, but Natalie, I don't have years. I'm telling you, some prospects will come back years later. Everyone is on their own journey, and it's our job as entrepreneurs to support their journey, whatever that is and however that looks like to them. We are not trying to control their destiny because we want the sale. We are allowing them to come to their own realizations and processes. Because nothing is more powerful than internal motivation. And that comes from those inner realizations. Someone doesn't get up and decide, today is the day they're going to lose 50 pounds because everyone told them to. No. It's because they had an internal realization. The motivation came from within. They questioned and processed their current reality, and in the silence, came to their realization. And I want you to think maybe even of a time that you've had that in your own life, where someone told you all the things that you should be doing, but it took you realizing that yourself to go out and actually do it. This is the same reason that meditation is so underratedly powerful. It's in the silence that we often find our deepest and most profound answers. It's the exact same reason why I use meditative techniques to help entrepreneurs find clarity from within. I can tell you all the things, but sometimes the deepest and the most meaningful things are not what you're told, but what you come to realize within yourself. Those magic moments, those ahas, those are a gift. So I can tell you all the things, but I can also guide you to realize the things yourself, which might actually work better for you. And it feels so good when you've reached that yourself, when after all of the mental and emotional back and forth and battle, you finally made a decision. When you finally decided, this is right. This is what I want. This is it. I'm going to do this. And so I just want to give you 2 examples and stories in my own journey recently. So I knew I wanted to hire a business coach and mentor because I am a huge proponent of being your own best client. And if I'm going to tell my clients to hire a business coach, I need one for myself too. So I had my eye on one girl for a little, and she was primarily focused on servicing multi-six-figure coaches and getting them to 7 figures. I'm like, I'm not there yet, but this is definitely the girl I'm going to work with when I am there. So long story short, she opens a program that gets people to the consistent and multiple 6 figures. I reach out, and then something she said didn't sit with me well. Honestly, I was like, I get the way you do things, but that's not how I'm trying to do things. I'm going to trust myself, and I'm going to do it my way. So then I went and did the thing that I wanted to do my way. Meanwhile, she was always lingering in my mind. I wonder if I should have signed with her while I work on this project. Maybe then I could have just done both and figured out what was right. It's a $3,000 investment. This is the deepest, this is definitely the cheapest it will ever be to work with her. So why not do it now? Why not do both? I decided, no, I'm going to do it my way. The DIY route we all love and know. So I proceed to do my thing, and then I'm at dinner with my dad's ex-girlfriend. Side note, I have a very, very complicated family, and it could truly be its own reality show. But anyway, she's like, Natalie, I think you should get a business coach. And I'm like, shit, she's right. I need to stop waiting for the time to be right or the perfect person to come or the money to be there. And I just need to live in my integrity now. So as I sort of come to this realization, maybe a week later, this girl I was eyeing posts about her Black Friday deals, and I'm like, oh shit, this might be it. So we get to chatting, and we didn't have to do much because our prior conversation had primed me, and I had already been through that internal dialogue and processing myself to reach the decision. So boom, 3 days after watching her story about her deals, I'm in. $15,000 later. My point here is I almost signed up with her for a $3,000 investment. But because I did the internal processing myself, I was already so mentally and emotionally invested in her and the situation that signing up at a higher price point was a no-brainer. So yeah, silence led to a $12,000 increase in sale for her. Pretty powerful stuff without even having to try. Now, I just want to share one more story. So during those same 3 days, I was also looking into another mentor. I absolutely loved her, and she will definitely be a mentor for me in the future without a doubt. But it was the way she approached her mentorship versus the one that I ultimately signed with that was a little bit different. I knew I wanted more strategies right now, not just for myself, but for my clients, which is why I signed with the person that I did. And both mentorships were so incredibly powerful, just different approaches. So with the other girl, I messaged and I just said, hey, look, I am really torn between you and the person I decided to work with, this other girl. What I really like about you is this, and where I feel I might be more supported with this other girl is this. So I sent that message hoping, maybe she'd give me some advice, just see her approach to mentorship, like based on the way that she responds to me. And she didn't send anything back. I sort of expected okay, I would get a response by the next morning, but no, just crickets. So of course, as anyone would start doing, oh my gosh, did I say the wrong thing? Was that inappropriate? To be so upfront and honest? And I'm starting to ask all these sort of questions and internal dialoguing and processing and just thinking about what I said and did. And I'm starting to realize and process for myself. I'm like, okay, I know she talks a lot about boundaries and embodying success. Maybe she's just embodying that now. Maybe she's just busy embodying her success and allowing me to come to the solution myself to show that I don't need more of the very thing that I was asking for support for. Wow, she's smart. Is exactly what I thought. Such a smart strategy. I respect that so much. Okay, wow, that's so cool that she does that. And then a little more than 24 hours later, I get a message. Hey babe, sorry I took so long to respond. Your message got pushed down. It had nothing to do with the strategy. I literally thought that she had created the strategy. I had this whole internal dialogue and processing that I was like, okay, this must be strategy. It doesn't make sense to me. And it was just so funny and powerful how in the silence I had my own realization. And it was so powerful that it's the one I'm here talking to you about today. In my silence, I was able to internally process and dialogue what might have been happening, to reach my own conclusions, have my own experiences, and make my own decisions. And with that, they held so much power. And now both of these incredibly inspiring women hold stories within me. And when someone has a story about you, within you, that's memory. That's reference. That's a file in the cabinet. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode. Your Sales BFF.